the media industrial complex covered for them, and they made them the governments of Obama seem like the victims, right? Yeah, and then they projected onto Trump that he was the one doing all the bad things with the transfer of power.
Anyone that knew that what was going on, anyone that knew that they were lying about all of the George Floyd stuff, all of those people should be investigated. All of them should be investigated. And if they are found to have actually knowingly lied to the American people and that led to riots and stuff like that, they should be prosecuted.
It's amazing that they hunted down people who were passing by the Capitol on January 6th, put them away for long sentences, but nobody has been put away for burning down Minneapolis.
Yeah,
I mean, none of those people.
Unfathomable.
But not even Minneapolis. It was the insurrection of May. I call it what is it? M29 in 2020 when they firebombed the White House grounds, firebombed St. John's Church. Forced the president into an emergency bunker, and the media collectively laughed and called him Bunker Boy.
Right. They raided the Kavanaugh hearings.
And they said it was really, really mean that he used the police to get the protesters out of the way, the rioters out of the way, so that he could go to the church across the street.
And they lied about that too. They lied about it.
Yes, that's right. And I just want to make this point here about what the regime has been doing, because it's not just the case that all of these horrible things happen. We also know that Obama was wiretapping him when he was running for president, and everyone laughed at that. But when Obama does something like that, it's never considered dictatorial. And I actually think that there's a really important reason for that, which is everybody knows that the left-wing machine is not about any singular personality. And it's true that no political movement should be about a single human person besides Jesus Christ. But the reality is it's this conglomeration of ideas. It's about the revolution. It's about forwarding their cause. And there's actually something, I would argue, fundamentally satanic about that. The Venerable Archbishop Fulton Sheen once said that God says, I am who am, and so Satan says, I am who am not. He convinces people he doesn't exist. And the regime as it currently exists doesn't ever want to have one specific personality that they can point to as their sole figurehead. It's always someone who's continuing the revolution. Whereas Donald Trump, while he is supporting our cause, is clearly a once-in-a-generation political figure who is acting of his own volition as well. He was a wrecking ball to the revolution. So his behavior is actually seen as personal rather than some kind of vague adherence to systemic mechanisms.
There's two things about that. First of all, it's operational. It allows people to avoid consequences. Exactly. If you don't have someone you can blame, then if there are multiple people, which is part of the reason why everyone is so happy with Joe Biden being an empty suit, all of the people around him were making the decisions, all of the people in his Security Council and Secretary of State and et cetera, they were making the decisions, but then you could never really pin anything on who was actually to blame. And two, the fact that there is no one person to blame, it's just like you were saying, like it is kind of the operation of like what you would call like evil people, right?
Can I not blame Hillary Clinton?
No, Hillary Clinton's never done anything wrong. But that's the reality, right? The people who do the bidding of the revolution and of their movement are never going to get in trouble for anything that they do. Yeah. But it's also the case that their actions aren't seen as personal in any way. Like it's never indicative of their character. It's like, well, they were doing what they had to do in this position that they were put in.
Well, that's because they're always trying to forward the revolution. Like
exactly.
They've also redefined our manners and morals. So if they say, oh, you're a Nazi, they're not being boorish or cruel or unkind. Where Trump says you're an idiot, then suddenly, oh my God, that's
how could he say that?
Well, you saw this guy. You saw this guy cry over a pager joke being made on CNN after he just called the guy who was talking to a Nazi.
Yeah, funny.
But then you had,
that was a funny joke too. It was a very funny joke. It was like, grow up, dude. Get over it.
But then you had, I believe it was a day later on The Hills Rising, the conservative host walked off the show at their break, didn't come back, show was canceled because this lady was calling the other one, said, you have Nazi writings. I'm not going to bring that up. So when the Hills Rising, no. This is this some lady, and it was, I believe, Amber Duke. And then after the show went to break, said, we'll be right back. She didn't come back, and she's like, I'm not going to sit down with someone who calls me a Nazi. If those are the rules they want to play by, those are the rules we're going to play by.
Yeah, and we should. We really, it's amazing. I can't tell you how amazing it is that we don't need them anymore. We do not need them anymore. We don't need to get their information, their misinformation. They have a couple of things. They have tremendous reporting power. So the New York Times can still dispatch reporters to places we can't get to yet, and that's important. and they have this cultural machinery, infrastructure that I've been banging this drum for 20 years. 20 years ago, when I first went to a conservative meeting, because I'd been out of the country, I'd lived out of the country for 7 years. I came back and I thought, oh my God, we've lost the country. I went to conservative meetings and I said, don't you understand? We're not losing the country at the ballot box. We're losing it at the movie theater.
Yeah,
that's right.
And they looked at me like, what are you talking about? Yeah. What are you talking? And we don't have an infrastructure. We have no awards. We don't give artists awards. Mm-hmm. We have no movie company. We keep thinking, well, can't we get Hollywood to do this? I worked in Hollywood for years. No, we can't. We have to do it. We have to do it ourselves.
Do you think something else will now take its place because Hollywood's dead? I mean, all these celebrities, they trotted out. None of it meant anything to anyone.
Oh, no, yeah. Nobody. I mean, why do you want to hear, when it's a working class movement that's raising Trump, why do you want to hear from George Clooney, who, broadcasting from his mansion off
I was undecided until I heard from Oprah.
Yeah.
Well, no.
I didn't know.
It's also so hilarious how in lockstep they are. It's true that the Democrats are better in some sense at cooperating than the Republicans are, just because we have different instincts. But it almost seemed to be the case that you had fewer members of the Democratic Party endorsing Kamala than you had members of a Diddy party endorsing Kamala. Like, they all came forward, and they're all going to say exactly what the line is. Because what's kind of hilarious about it is Democratic politicians, they're accountable to the American people. People in Hollywood, I mean, like, they're accountable to producers who also share those opinions. So it's a much narrower thing. And they don't have as much room to say, like, well, I can't make a statement like that, because we're so used to Hollywood celebrities having these perspectives too that no one's going to boycott them. But at this point, we kind of don't have to. People don't really care anymore.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.